The information discussed in this PILCast episode are merely opinions and do not constitute formal policy or legal guidance of any kind.
Hello, and welcome to another PILCast episode, the series where we discuss important federal procurement innovation topics in 10 minutes or less. We guarantee it. My name is Tracy Harriet, and I am a coach with the Department of Homeland Security's Procurement Innovation Lab. I have a special guest with me here today, a contracting officer from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Stuart, hello there.
Hi, Tracy. My name is Stuart Sellers, and I've been with USCIS as either a contract specialist or a contracting officer since 2015, working in both the technology and operations division.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today. So in this episode, Stuart will be sharing with us an innovative technique called Retrospectives, how his team uses retros at USCIS, and how you might be able to use them to gather stakeholder feedback to improve your acquisitions. So let's dive right in. Stuart, when I think of retrospectives, it's a look back at something. So for your teams at USCIS, what's the purpose of doing a retrospective?
The purpose of retrospectives here at USCIS is to capture feedback from the entire acquisition team to see what went well and what didn't work from their perspectives. This is to capture information while it's still fresh in the team's mind, and it doesn't have to be overly formal. It can be very informal, and you can do one kind of in each segment of your acquisition cycle.
Okay, so you might do one after you've submitted an acquisition plan, for example, to look back at how that process went. Would that be maybe one place you might use it?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds like that could be pretty beneficial. So what types of benefits have you seen using this technique with your teams?
Some of the benefits that we have seen, this can be used on future procurements, because usually when we're doing these, we have a lot of our OIT brethren in the room listening in. So it helps with the future procurements. Again, it helps us share the ideas with teams, which will help promote faster learning. We also is a good starting point if you have a recompete or on other procurements if they're just getting started or if they're in the acquisition cycle and experiencing some of the difficulties that we may have.
Heard you mention OIT, so your Office of Information Technology. So who are you capturing this information from when you go through this process?
We include everybody that was part of the acquisition team. Our biggest contributors are usually the program office, either the PM and members of the TET. Depending on the level of reviews, the reviewers may participate, but mainly it's legal counsel, the COCS, and the program management team for that acquisition.
Okay, so pretty good mix of your primary stakeholders. And then, so you're capturing from them, what type of information? I think you said what works, what didn't work. So what type of information are they providing to you?
Some of the information they're providing us is, again, it's, from their perspective, making sure, like, if we did something, say, as a technical demonstration or oral presentation, did the technical evaluation team actually get benefit from, if we were doing oral presentations, were the questions that we asked, did it help them in, determining who would be a good fit for us?
Okay, and then so we talked about you could do it at different phases in the cycle earlier. So you might do it after like a major milestone, for example. But as a general concept, when are you trying to capture this information for these retrospectives from the team?
Generally, we're capturing the information after award, after the protest period, so that way we're able to look at the entirety of the process, and that way, we can talk about any of the headaches or issues that we experienced along the way.
And capturing some best practices and lessons learned too, I assume.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. So, so our PIL framework, here at the lab is, a testing and sharing framework. And that's very important to continuously improve how teams are using innovations. And this technique of completing retrospectives sounds like it really helps support that kind of framework. So I'm just curious, do you have any examples of, ways your team has made changes, based on what you heard in a retrospective?
Yes. Some of the examples I have is, if you're evaluating corporate experience, sometimes our program offices, will kind of get into the weeds as far as corporate experience. So, in talking with legal counsel and, other team members, being able to provide that information going, hey, on this last acquisition, while I understand it worked for them, these are some of the difficulties that we encountered, and providing recommendations to make, our process go a little bit smoother.
Okay, so that's great. So your team is actually, able to, get that feedback as part of your retro and then pretty much immediately put that into practice with your next award.
Correct. As I said, no matter where you are in the process, you know, I've seen it where I've sat in on retros and, getting ready for, in the actual source selection decision document phase, and able to glean some information from some, helpful things, because of either a protest or, something that they were able to, help solidify even more.
Okay, that's really awesome. So, do you have any tips or best practices that you could share with our audience today for if they want to start using retros in their process?
Again, I think, and we always start with about keeping things professional. This is a more of a learning opportunity. We don't want it to turn into, kind of that finger pointing. We understand there's always some very strong, opinionated people on the team. So, you know, keep it in reality. While you may have had personal struggles, just keep it professional. Make sure everybody, understands. We record the retros. You can also keep notes and that, so that way you can come back at them and say, oh, a similar acquisition just completed. I can go back and look at it even if you didn't sit in on it. So, and also making sure that when you're getting ready for the recompete, if a retro was done, actually taking the time to go back and, look at it. And instead of, nobody likes to reinvent the wheel. And if you can learn from somebody else's mistakes or headaches, it just makes life that much easier.
No, it's awesome. I like the idea of sharing so that even if it wasn't your procurement, that if it's something that is related to something your team's trying to do, that you can use that. So on a similar thought, if a team's working on a recompete now and they haven't done a retro, they didn't know about this technique last time. Can they still kind of use this as they get started on their procurement?
Yes, they can definitely use this as they start planning. You can, get your stakeholders together, you know, and if any of them have worked on previous requirements, you can go ahead and start asking them, what went well and what didn't for them.
Stuart, I just want to thank you for taking the time today to share this great story with how your team is using retrospectives to help improve procurements and processes at USCIS. For those of you that are watching, let us know in the comments if your team uses retros or how you might be able to incorporate those, for your team. And as always, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification button so that you get all of our latest updates. We'll see you next time.